Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
Let's move on to the next game, the Reds and the Force.
Yeah, for me, this is going to be an interesting one. We'll see the return, hopefully, of lanky Tim Anstey, who was, a revelation in his first match in that 6 jersey for the Force. They also likely be missing Tony Pulu, which it sounded like he had another little ankle injury. For this one, look, I mean, the Reds, they're going to be on a high. They got that win in Canberra for the first time in, I think it was 7 years. Whether that negatively affects them, I just don't think it can. I don't think Thorn will let them, let their guard down after that win. They have a few things that they still need to improve on, and Thorn addressed that after the match, and he actually came out and said it, that, they're still not happy. They still got a lot to work on. So I think they're just going to lift again, and this will be a big one for them. The Force as well, look, they got their first win since 2017. It sounds a whole lot worse because they weren't there for a few years in Super Rugby. But, yeah, their last win was their last year prior to last season in 2017 when they absolutely whooped the Waratahs in their final match. So it's one of those things people say you get that monkey off the back. Once you get that first win, it's a bit easier to repeat that moving forward. So it'll be interesting to see how they play in this one. But last year in these two matchups, first of all, the Reds won 31-25, which was pretty close. And I think that was in Queensland. And then in Perth, the Reds won 57-5. So the Force are going to be hoping not to let that be a repeat performance of that, because that was pretty embarrassing for them. There's a lot of selection headaches here. Craig, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, look, my initial reaction is I think it'll be closer to the second one, a bigger scoreline. But having said that, we've talked about every week in the previews, we talk about the Force are a team that have really up to their defence. Their entire game plan is built on their defence of just creating this wall and doing a really good job of that. But the problem is that they really lack an attack. So for mine, it's really just, I don't think they're capable of scoring enough points to beat the Reds. But, and how long can they hold out this relentless Reds attack, basically? But anyway.
I mean, I think you can hear the Tim Sanson speeches to the boys, can't you? Like, we've been kicked out of the competition. We've got our chance. We're doing it for our state, all this sort of stuff. And I think that can unite you to so much. And I think that's going to unite you in defence and, holding tight, making those extra efforts. I don't think it can make you score tries.
No, and also those Twiggy game bonuses. Twiggy will be like, look, if you beat the Reds, I'll buy you each a small island somewhere. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, they all say you can build a game on defence, but when you got literally zero attack, I think they're really going to struggle against the Reds.
I think so. Look, there's a couple selection headaches for the Reds in this one. You've got Brendan Pangamosa finally back, making his return off the bench last week, and Alex Murphy. Do you guys think that we're going to still see Murphy stay there and BPA have to work his way back in over time?
I'd think so. Murphy's been in good form.
Yeah, I think at least another week. You know what I mean? Like Brad Thorne is big on earning it, and certainly BPA, obviously Wallabies starting hooker by the end of 2020, but and he did look good when he came back on. But I think it'll certainly be one more game at least.
Yeah, look, I think we say it every week or every year, that these guys swap who the starting role is every single year. So it's Murphy's year, so he's going to keep starting.
True.
Simple as that. The other one was Hamish Stewart. If you talk to any Reds fans, they absolutely love him. And it's due to his effort. I think he puts a lot of effort in around the park. He's basically a back rower for them who's got some good playmaking skills. He's very solid in defence. He has, decent work rate in defence as well. But for me, it's interesting. Like some of the stuff that they're losing from having him on the field, we're starting to see more and more of from Pace Army. He's that little kick he put in the back end of the last game. He's adding in chips. He's adding in just a bit more creativity. For me, he's a perfect 12. He's an absolutely perfect 12. And there's too many puzzle pieces in this Reds backline. So someone's going to miss out.
Paisami he's an early Ma Nonu-esque, isn't he? Nonu kind of started as just this hard ball runner, hard hitter, certainly a bit of lack of discipline. And then he just built that and added layers to his game. And towards the end of his career, Nono just had he was almost a playmaker first, his beautiful passes, his great kicking game, rubbers and everything. And Paisami, obviously very junior in his career, but we know, we can say he's got the hard running lines, the hard hitting, the ill discipline. He's, one of the concerns about picking him up is how many weeks is it until he gets your red card. But look, certainly something we've been seeing some of that playmaking prowess come out slowly this year. So it's going to be.
It's got to be. I think you've got to think of it in the long run as well. Ideally, you'd like to have Paisami and Pattaya building the links, getting more games under their belt. Obviously, I think they're relatively. They feel like, I feel like last week they didn't have that strong link, especially with Pattaya dropping a lot of ball. But thinking about the future, you want to see Paisami at 12, Pattaya at 13. That could eventually be the Wallabies 12 and 13. To be honest, as well.
That's true. And also the 11 and 14 in Filippo Daguno. And I can't believe it's been this long and I haven't said Suliasi Vunivalu's name yet on the podcast. So
and Stuart's also a good bench player. He can play 10, 12 and 15.
That's very true.
Yeah. Look, the interesting thing for me here is last year when we saw some silliness coming out of the hands of Pattaya, they moved him back out to the wing. They said, no, look, mate, you're not doing that well at outside centre. Shoved him to the wing, shoved him to the bench on a couple of occasions. And I think it's playing on his mind here because we're just seeing a different Pattaya for me this year. He looks very reserved, very unsure in his decision-making. And I don't think it's helping his game. I think you've just got to tell him, play your footy, stick him on the wing, and let him just get involved as he needs to. Because right now he's looking overstressed.
See, I was going to say, I get what you're saying. What I like about Pattaya at 13 is just that amount of extra space. Look, as a winger, obviously it's great to have these one-on-ones and be able to finish and whatnot, and we certainly know he can do that. But in the 13 channel, when you give him that extra width, he can just really easily beat or draw two people in and offload. He's going to be such a good creator from that 13 jersey.
He's just going to learn that he doesn't need to create something at every single play or every single touch of the ball.
That's true.
Well, I think that was his issue last year, right? He was throwing offloads all the time. This year, he's unable to create something because he's just dropping it nonstop. Like, he's overthinking it. He's over-worrying. So I wouldn't be overly surprised if we see him shifting to a wing or shifting to the bench in these next couple of weeks. And for me, this is a good game to do it, right? Maybe it's a good game for him to build that confidence. But if we do see a different 12-13, we see Stewart linking up with Paisami again, it could be this week for me. Give him a bit of a lesson, make him work his way back in and settle down because he's not settled. But again, Vunivalu looked very flustered and very unsettled last week. His try, I think he had a very good, timing to run onto that ball and finish that try off. But other than that, he dropped the ball cold. He got caught out 2-3 times in defence where he had tries scored against him. So could we see him drop to the bench and work his way back in with little snippets of time and have to work on that defence and Pattaya start on the wing? I mean, there's a possibility.
Look,
I just think you need to give these guys a bit more time in their positions. You don't really want to try and change a back line where you guys have just beat the Brumbies for the first time in a long time in a GIO. So
it was pretty much despite Pattaya, though, right? It was barring that last play. It was despite Pattaya, and barring that try, despite Vunivalu. And in fact, I think Vunivalu was a reason why they didn't win that game by 2-3 tries. And Thorne is a very hard coach. So I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of a shuffle there. But look, hopefully they pick and stick, and we get to see them build these combinations. Onto the other side with the Force. I mean, are they going to start Domingo Miotti already? Because that's what we know they need, right? Get Domingo Miotti on, get Jack McGregor on to add a bit more, starch in that attack and a bit more excitement in that attack. he slotted into first receiver a lot of times when he came on last week. He wasn't necessarily brilliant, but he did finish off a good try. He did get himself involved.
Yeah.
Give him a shot at 15. Like, I'd
But
love
mate,
to
they're gonna have to do something different because the way they're playing right now is they're not going to beat the Reds the way they're playing. So they're going to have to definitely do something different.
They need to go all out attack, mate. They need to get Miotti on, and they need to put Jack McGregor at fullback.
That's it. That's exactly what we've said. They've got the defence side figured out, but yeah, they just need some attack. And I mean, look, Jake McIntyre. I mean, what the hell does he actually offer? Let's be honest.
Mate, bit rough, but yeah, he's
no, mate, I'm not having it. Mate.
He hasn't been led.
Why John Lance ahead of him? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But look, they also just made far too many errors. As you said, McIntyre, he actually missed kicking the ball out on 3 occasions.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, you can't have that.
3 occasions. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, their line-out throws, Kaitu'u, I mean, you can't win a rugby game when you just lose your own line-out. You get down in their position, you get a penalty, you kick it out, and you just give them the ball back. Or you don't kick it out. Those two were very influential in their loss last week.
Yeah.
Kaitu'u had a lot of positives, but, mate, you don't play this week. Learn to throw a ball straight, and we'll see you next week.
You did have a good fantasy game, though.
The problem for Kaitu'u, mate, is Andrew Reddy's got a red card for a couple of weeks. So the only reserve they have is Jack Winchester, the 19-year-old.
Give him a run.
So somehow I can't see that happening. But now, all right, look, in terms of this game, what do we say? Look, I think we can all agree we're going to see the Reds winning, but by
You're going to go big.
Much?
Go big,
Reds
mate.
by 24 points.
I'll go a bit less than that. Let's make it 17.
All right, well, I like an outlier, so Reds by 25, mate. Just everything above that sounds good. I'll cop that one easy from your fantasy tipping. But no, very good. I'm excited to see how this one turns out. Those Reds outside backs, they're just unbelievable. It is interesting, yeah, losing a bit of the playmaking with Hamish Stewart, but it'll be interesting to see if Jock Campbell can. He's more of your typical fullback, but can he kind of slide into more of a first receiver role now and then? Because I think Jock has been brilliant, but I think he does need someone to be able to stand on the other side of the field in a first receiver now and then. And Paisami has done it a little bit, but Jock doing that would make a huge difference.
Look, if this back line can gel, this is an world-class back line, just absolutely brilliant in terms of, the attacking play at the very least, right from 9 through to 15. So hopefully we see these boys gel and just start to put on bulk points every week.
I'm changing my tip. They're going to go big, 20, 27, 30 plus, mate.
No, mate, sorry, we don't. I know you haven't been on the pod for a while, mate. But I'm sorry, there's no. It's touch, move, touch, take. We'll talk to you in chess terms, mate. You know this. Can't. None of that. Sorry, mate. It's no Queen's Gambit.